You're going to take a look at financial functions, and we've probably seen this. If you take in 102, you know these financial functions you take in finance. But Excel is a really good calculator for a whole bunch of financial things we've seen in those other classes. So we have a question first. What is the future value of a 3-year loan at 2.9% interest if payments are $450 a month? So if we looked at a financial calculator, we would see a calculator that has the N, the PV, the I, the future value of payments. And in Excel, we have the same thing. So I'm actually not going to remember what the functions are, but I'm actually going to go up here and press the Insert Function button. And the Insert Function, I can take a look at a bunch of different categories, and one of them is financial. And you get a little description of every function as you're going through. So you can take a look, and we can actually see that as we go through, we can read through and see what we have. And we have this function that says FV, and it says returns the future value of investment based on payments at constant interest rate. So that's saying we want the future value of a loan. So we're going to choose that function. And what the function wizard does, it actually gives us a bunch of options here for what should be inside of our function. Or it gives us a guide, kind of like what it did when we put as we started typing and it showed us up and it showed up what the values are inside of the function. So the future of a 3-year loan, monthly payment. So rate is 2.9%, so we'll say 2.9% divided by 12. Okay, so we calculate it as an interest rate. Number of periods, this is 3 years times 12 times a year, so 12 periods in a year times 3 years. And our payment amount is $450 a month. So do negative 450. If you haven't taken BADM 102, it doesn't matter if you put in positive or negative 450. Right, and you put it, and it actually calculates what the future value will be. So it's a number there. The same as what we get out of a financial calculator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little exercise where we're going to create a little calculator for, just like we have in a financial calculator. So in this, I'm going to calculate the future value just like we did before. So the future value of, and so without using the wizard, we have the stuff that comes up. Here we're going to choose this as the interest rate. Number of periods is going to be N. The payment is going to be the amount that we're putting in. Our present value is 0, and we get a value. I'm actually going to fill this out to do a whole bunch of other things based on what we have here. So it's not just a future value we can calculate the number of payments. I'll go down here to do that. Calculate the number of payments. Number of periods. Well, we have the rate. Well, that's from here again. We have the payments, which are the same. We have the present value, which is the same. We have the future value, which is here. And it's going to calculate the number of payments. So we can kind of use this as a calculator to find the unknown values. And to use it as a calculator, we're going to do, so we have N per. N per is the rate, payments, present value, future value. Okay. I, this is going to use the rate function. So number of payments, the payment, the present value, the future value. Okay. The payments, it's payment amount. Again, it's the rate, number of periods, future value, present value, present value, future value. Okay. And the present value is PV. So again, we have the rate, number of periods, payments, future value. So each of these functions take the one that isn't there. to calculate the values that are there, and it works out exactly the same. So what we've built is a little calculator. So we can calculate N, we can calculate rate, we can calculate the payment, we can calculate PV, calculate FV, just like we would in a business calculator. So what we'll do is we'll actually take a look at creating a mortgage table. So here's something we can do Excel where we might give this to a bank manager. Here we have a bunch of rates of interest from 2% to 2.5 to up to 5.25%. So this is the rate of interest. This is the number of years from 10 to 25 years. And we're going to calculate monthly payments for $100,000 of mortgage. So what's useful here is that if we had $100,000 of mortgage, so we got a $300,000 mortgage, you multiply this by 3, and that'll tell you how much the monthly mortgage payments would be. So if you want to give it a shot before I do it, now would be a good time. All right, so taking a look at the solution. We're taking a look at the monthly payments. So again, we're looking at the payment function. And you want to find a rate. And the rate is going to be here. And I want to set this absolute reference. So we're going to use the functions that we did before. We're going to use an absolute reference. This will always be in row 3. So I want to press F4 until the 3 is locked, like we did before. So if we copy it vertically down, it's not going to change. The number of periods, because these are monthly periods, it's 12 months a year times the number of years. And again, I'm going to set the reference, but this time I want that always to be column A, so when I drag it across, it's not going to change. The present value, this is going to be, I'll use negative 100,000 because I want to have a positive value coming out. So that's for $100,000 of mortgage. And in the end, the future value is going to be 0, which is a default, so we can leave it out, or we can put it in, whatever we like. So you borrow $100,000 on a 10-year rate at 2% per month. It's $2,204. And as we go along, we're going to drag it across, and it gets quite a bit larger. Okay. But this is still the payment for that rate. Oh, sorry, this should be monthly, so we're going to divide this by 12. There we go. Drag it across. For that rate divided by 12, so it's monthly, number of months for $100,000. And we can drag this across, select across, and then drag it down, and we're finished our table, and we have the monthly payments that we need for $100,000 for all these different interest rates.